Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to GameStar TV as I frantically mash buttons in the background, remembering to turn sounds and things like that on. Hey, Kitfox, great first round, but we're into our second round match, and it's going to be the Midnights versus Limewire.
Limewire, Chris. Limewire. Remember the days when you used to give your computer cancer voluntarily just so you could download music? Well, it is back, ladies and gentlemen, and they're coming for your heroes of the storm. We're going to be going over to Dragonshire for this one. Midnights versus Limewire. The coin toss is in effect. Blue team, that's the Midnights. They're going to get the ban first. Limewire will be on team red. And if you haven't had enough of this map, ladies and gentlemen, it's Dragonshire yet again. If you joined us last night, you'll know that about 3 or 4 games that we broadcast were played on this map. The home turf for Team Nomia. So if any other team's watching this, you know what map you have to strat up on if you want to beat the Giants at their own game. But once again, my analyst caster is GL Phoenix. GL Phoenix, how do you expect this one to unfold?
Well, as you mentioned, Dragonshire is a bit of a favorite, especially yesterday where we could actually pick the maps yesterday, but here they're not necessarily being able to choose it. But I'm sure both teams are just fine with this map. A lot of things can be quite viable on this map, so we'll just have to wait and see how this draft unfolds.
It'll be interesting to see how these two teams go. Two of the lower tier teams that have come into the fold recently, but Midnight's taking away Arthas off the board, who's got a lot of staying power around those shrines. So they don't want to deal with him. They don't want to play him. Now it's Limewire's turn to get the ban hammer on. Still, I mean, I don't know much about these teams, so I don't know what they favor. I don't know if they favor more of the double support meta as opposed to the double tanks. Let's see what they go. I mean, Limewire are extremely new to the scene. This is their first season that they've played together as a unit. Let's hope they've got something to offer us.
Yeah, just looking at both of these lineups, there's quite a few names that I'm not entirely familiar with, so this is going to be a bit of a learning experience for all of us here, but very excited to see how this goes. But already, that's a very good sign coming out from Limewire that they are going with those very meta bans of the Oriole, not wanting to allow that one through at any cost.
Oriole, one of the strongest healers pumping around at the moment. Like we mentioned previous cast, you get a good battery on her and you basically just spam your heals. Now, Genji being locked in straight away by the Midnights as first pick. So Limewire can counter that one. They can still pick the Uther. But I mean, last game we saw Ground Zero go up against Capital. Capital actually picked the Uther first. Ground Zero picked Genji into the Uther and still came out with the win.
Yeah, I think there may have been a few more other variables. Yeah, there were some other variables at play there, I believe, that really skewed the favor a little bit towards that Genji, but that Uther is still available, and you could very well see the Uther and the Tassadar if they want to pick that one up, because that hero is usually on that ban list, and to see him not picked up yet, it's a bit of an interesting one, but it is actually going to be the Rhaegar lock-in very highly on this draft, and they are going to also lock in the Valor, so very interesting to see that they're not going towards the Tassadar if they're going, if they're wanting to go for this Valor-centric composition, but it's still on the table as we get into the second round of bans.
Dahaka Uther being picked up, so favouring the Genji there. Midnights, they know they don't want to deal with him, but like you mentioned, Rhaegar picking his support nice and early. It's interesting. He's more of one of the healers that you see when there's not really much left on the table, like the Oriole being taken away or the Uther being taken away. But Limewire have got something up their sleeve here. They've got a card trick coming because they know what combination they want to execute, especially if you want to take Rhaegar nice and early. Could we even see a Bloodlust build, GL Phoenix?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Usually we see Rhaegar slotting into compositions where you have things like Illidan and very melee, very almost dive-heavy compositions, because that's essentially what Rhaegar ends up doing himself. He wants to go forward. He wants to be applying a lot of pressure while also pumping out those heals. So very interesting to see that it gets paired up with the Valor right off the bat. Very interesting to see how the rest of this draft goes, and whether or not the Midnights are worried enough about that Tassadar that they're going to ban it away. I do believe that it's very much in their interest to take that off the board, not allow the Tassadar to pair up with that Valor, and just force that Valor to not have nearly as much security when she's moving forward.
Tesla are extremely strong, but no, they're actually going to go for Tyrael. So taking away the potential dive for the Limewire lads. They want to keep their backline safe. They want to make sure they're able to pump out the damage, taking away the judgment, taking away the sanctification. But now it's Limewire's turn to get their double pick happening. Still got to pick their front line. And they could probably go with somebody like a mage, maybe even another assassin here, ranged or melee. It's up to them. Dragonshy is all about staying power and sustain. You do have to fight. You are going to have scraps. You're going to have punch-on. So it's all about what will complement Valor and Rhaegar.
Yeah, just trying to think of what they could be going for. I mean, I'm expecting the Tassadar to get picked up at some point during this draft. It'd be very unusual to see it drop all the way through, especially with how this composition is already shaping up.
Ooh.
It's going to be the Anubarak and the ETC as that front line, so an incredible amount of crowd control on the side of the Limewire team. But with looking at the way that is, I'm not sure if they have enough damage if they do end up going for that Tassadar as a last pick.
Well, the Tassadar is still available for the Midnights as well. They could even complement Uther with that. We've seen Tass Uther quite a bit. It goes very, very well. I'm a little bit worried about the ETC pick, though. I mean, you've got the Hammer of Justice from Uther. You've got the Tongue from Dahaka if he can time it well enough, especially if you take the talent, which increases its range a little bit. So they could potentially nullify any sort of mosh pit that's coming their way. And maybe if we get to level 20, ETC might even go for two of us just to slide around the field. But Li Ming and Johanna now being locked in as the final two for Midnight. So they'll be rolling with Genji, Dahaka, Uther, Li Ming, and old Jojo as their other front liner. But the global pressure from Dahaka is something that is valued on a map like Dragonshire.
Yeah.
Ooh!
We aren't going to be seeing that Tassadar. I mean, as I was mentioning, I'm not sure with the ETC and the Anubarak, yes, you bring a lot of crowd control, but they don't necessarily have the damage numbers to allow for a all-in on the Valor composition. So they are going to be rounding that out with the Nazebo, who, as we get later and later into this game, his damage is going to just spike out of control, especially if he's able to keep his stacks of the Buddha Ritual going up and getting them efficiently as we get to level 20. But yeah, very interesting draft. I mean, it's always weird when you see a Tassadar fall all the way through a draft.
I mean, Nazebo is really, really good at controlling the shrines as well. If you give somebody beefy with him, like ETC or even the Anubarak, you can protect him and he can zombie wall off. He can just throw out those corpse spiders, zoning with the toads if he decides to go for toad build. But we're going to load into the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Midnights versus Limewire. We are on Dragonshire, and over on the blue team is the Midnights. We've got Chucky on Dahaka, Cryptic on Johanna, Shardstorm playing the Genji, going straight for the Swift Strike, and Prox will be Uther and Burnsy on Li Ming.
And on the red side, we have Limewire. We have, oh god, You Wish on ETC, Whack Attack on the Rhaegar, Tracinator on Nazebo, Ghost Dog on Valor, and Rasad on the Anubarak. So, yeah, very interesting drive coming out of both sides. I'm kind of looking with a bit more favor towards the Midnight's composition. I mean, they have an incredible front line with the Johanna and the Dahaka. They have that global presence with that hero as well. And we've seen the damage potential out of a Li Ming and a Genji just do so much work. And as we get to level 10, the Dragon Blade plus that Divine Shield can just wreak so much havoc.
Oh, they pulled the trigger onto Whack Attack. They knew he was hiding there, and here comes the scrap heap. Nazebo Zombie Wall actually caught two inside it, but he brought it down straight away. Whack Attack was just floating there. That was a 3-2-1. Let's go, boys. And the Midnights almost came out with a kill there. Rhaegar throwing out the chain heals just to make sure that his team stays alive. Shardstorm taking a lot of damage, but that was almost disastrous.
It was a very near miss there. Rhaegar almost is getting demolished just straight off the bat, and now we are going to be getting these shrines coming in very soon, but we are seeing already the very heavy rotation play coming out of the Midnights, just having this big stack, just moving between the middle and the bottom lane, and not only is this allowing them to be have a very strong core moving around as a unit, but it's also controlling that very central part of the map, which is going to force the members of Limewire to be very careful if they want to go from lane to lane.
Big rotation came down from the mid lane as well. From the Midnights, they've left Nazebo up there to his biases. The Midnights now, they're going to take both of these shrines. Tracinator on Zeebs. He's still in the mid lane, just making sure that nobody's going to come around and get the first DK. The Cryptic has come up from the bot lane. He's taken a few corpse spires. Interesting to note, Valor has taken Monster Hunter here as opposed to the multi-shot build. So we'll see what if that pays off in the end. But again, the shrines being taken by the Midnights. Cryptic is forced to do with Tracinator, though now creates a zoning effect. Shardstorm on the Genji with massive mobility comes up, and before a Nubarak can take the top shrine, they get the first DK, and Tracinator gets bunted all the way back, almost back to the base.
Yeah, and this is an extremely early Dragon Knight coming out for the Midnights. It won't get too much done, but as long as it's able to get maybe a tower or two, you're pretty happy with that for such an early investment of a Dragon Knight. And just going back to what you were mentioning about the Valley, going with that Monster Hunter, I mean, Dragonshy isn't necessarily one of the maps where you're valuing the wave clear as you are on other maps, and it's not like you're trying to be a battery for an oil. I mean, yeah, you do usually see when that oil does come in, as you wish, goes very far forward, a bit over aggressive with such low HP, and he's just going to pay for it.
He went way too deep with the power slide there, just slipping and almost falling off the stage, and well, he did, because he's now on the bench. Spawn time is not too bad, like we are only 3 minutes into the game. Rasad taking a fair bit of damage from Chucky up in the top lane, so Dahaka, narrowly missing the tongue there. That could have done a fair bit, but nevertheless they survive, and like you mentioned, only a couple towers and some walls falling, no damage to the forts just yet.
Yeah, but even though it was just a whole bunch of towers, we're already starting to see that effect really pay dividends. We've got a whole level lead in favor of the Midnights. They're going to be picking up level 7 really soon, and they can really just force Limewire to dance to their beat, essentially. They can be the team making the proactive plays around the map. They are going to be the first team to get their own siege camp, and it looks like they're going to start moving their way towards the bottom mercenary camp, and this is going to be pretty it's going to be a nice amount of pressure coming down on this bottom lane.
Yeah, Burnsy just hiding in the bushes of Limewire, making sure that nobody comes to ruin the party, so to speak, as the Midnights take that bottom camp. The Mercs will get a bit of value there. There are 3 players in the bot lane for Limewire, so Ghost Dog, Wax, and Uwish on patrol, but they eat an orb. They need to be careful not to get those max range orbs off. Sorry, not to eat those max range orbs, as the camp has been taken. We've got 25 seconds now ticking down. They're actually going to move their bodies down and clear out these Merc camp before it does any real damage into the lane. But a good snipe from Li Ming onto Valor. The resets come on. Uwish is taking so much damage. The blink is in. Arcane missiles. Here comes the orb. Boom. Oh, the chain hero coming out for whack attack. Oh, but the missiles again from Burnsy. Superstition gives his life. 3 kills on the side of the Midnights, 1 to Limewire, and the EXP advantage still in favour of the Midnights, but Limewire, with that cheeky kill onto Superstition, will get it back just a little bit.
Yeah, nice little pickup there, just to, I guess, at least try and get something out of that. It was a nice pickup there for Burnsy. He has gone pretty much so far all in on the orb build, so those are going to be doing so much damage, and we saw it right there, Ghost Dog. Just trying to clear out a goddamn mercenary camp, but then all of a sudden is just deleted off the map thanks to those arcane orbs. So nice little pick up there, but a little bit of over-aggression wanted to go through as they get locked down by the ETC.
Uwish with a good power slide this time. Face melts procs back to the side of Limewire. There's a lot of survivability, but they go down. The cooldowns are not up. And he dropped, so well done Limewire. They claw one back, still behind with a whole level. The Midnights now do have the tower, sorry, not the tower. Oh, but Li Ming is just sniping left, right, and center. Now Uwish is deep again, takes a couple tower hits and gets dropped. I don't know about that, just a little bit too greedy. And these orbs and the missiles from Burnsy are doing work for the Midnights, GLP.
Jesus Christ, they're just eating them as though it's goddamn...
They skipped breakfast.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I could really say about that. They're just copping them right on the face, and there's just not really too much that they could do about it. They're a rather squishy lineup when you look at those members who are on that bottom side of the map, and when those orbs start to land at that max range, you really start to feel it as Genji wants to get even more done.
Oh, Burnsy on the Li Ming is a force to be reckoned with. There's so many squishy characters, but Valor has been deleted down in the bot lane. Meanwhile, trying to get away, there's a 2v2 now. Here comes Burnsy in the middle of our wall to make it a 3v2, and we've already hit level 10. We can see the Divine Shield coming out there, granting some invulnerability to Shardstorm as he goes deep on the Genji. And now this bottom tower, this bottom shrine is where it's going to happen. Chucky and Rasada duking it out up in the top lane, but that's tank v take. Meanwhile, Shardstorm onto the back line, targeting Nazebo on Tracinator. Tracinator on Nazebo. The zombie wall is there. He's too deep. The Disintegrate on the back line from Li Ming is just too good. And the reset comes in. It gets another charge, but now Whack Attack falls. And another reset for Li Ming. Get deleted, Limewire. Faster than off my computer in the 1990s. GG, the Midnights, they are dominating so far.
Absolutely, and with this heroic advantage, they're making the most of it. They're just destroying. Jesus Christ, they're just destroying Limewire wherever they try and make any kind of play around the map. As now he got the play onto the top side. Rasad looks like he might be able to get out of this. Just not enough mana there from Burnsy. Shardstorm also tries to finish him off, doesn't manage to get those last few reflect shots on, but that is going to be the Dragonite coming out for the Midnights, so they're going to be able to at least push down a keep. Or you'd hope that they're able to push down a keep, but Heroics are now on the side of Limewire. They can start to make some plays, and even though we have seen the disintegration ray come out of the Li Ming, that does mean that they don't have any ways to deal with this.
Double Mosh Pit coming out here. It lands on Shardstorm and the Cocoon comes out. Chuck falls to Burrow. The Dragon Knight on Cryptic is still doing work. He does not concern. The Ancestral comes out under Rashad. We're going for a good leap in there from Johanna. So fantastic. Going for the Blessed Shield. And it looks as though that Dragonite, even though it didn't get the tower, the Midnights are able to do what it couldn't and get the advantage. They've now got a whole tier advantage over Limewire, and Johanna really made that play happen there.
Absolutely, and although there was a massive mosh pit coming out of the ETC, there was just no one there to try and follow up. There was a massive Dragonite in the way. There was no way that the rest of the team could try and follow up on the ETC, and even though the Li Ming has gone for disintegration instead of the wave of force to try and deny that, they haven't really been punished for it. Yes, there was a great mosh pit, but still no punishment just yet. They did lose a member on the side of the Midnights, but in the end, the fight does go in their favor. They get a couple of kills, they get the fort, and they're going to keep on forcing pressure onto the Limewire boys, and they just haven't really been able to get their way back into the game just yet.
A couple kills, hold the phone, 13-3, 10 kills advantage for the Midnights at this point in time. So even though they've got a couple camps, they've got the Knights up in the top lane doing that work for them. That means that Rasad now, he's just sitting up there in the top lane. We don't know exactly what he's doing. He needs to make a decision. Possible DC? No, he does come back. Now the Shrines are going to wake up again, but the night camp for the Midnights has been taken in a bit of retaliation. Rasad coming in, take down Chucky. Meanwhile, the bot lane, Rhaegar and ETC are getting dropped upon. Post-stop, the only one left, throws out the Rain of Vengeance, but it is not going to be enough because the Midnights are just executing as a team so well.
Yeah, and with this massive force stack on the bottom side and this a couple of mercenary camps pushing, they are going to get a lot of advantages here. There's not really much that the rest of Limewire can really do at this point. They're trying to put up any kind of defense, as pretty much the Nazebo is dropping everything just to try and force away the members of the Midnights. It is actually going to work. It's going to allow the rest of the team to get there in time, but this is just allowing the Midnights to just impose their presence on the rest of the map, and this should be yet another Dragonite going over to them.
Shrines well in the favour of Midnights. And there's going to be a tit for tat in the bot lane. Burnsy is just throwing out these orbs, but here comes an Uberak, forcing out the blink, misses the Impale. He did land the Burrow charge, but meanwhile, Shardstorm in the mid, he's going to pick up that Dragonite. In comes Cryptic on the Johanna. You wish doesn't have the mosh pit. Actually, he does have the mosh pit. It was interrupted there by the Hour of Justice from Prox. Probably for the best. It would have only caught one in the end and just displaced him. Here comes Shardstorm with that massive DK. This is DK number 3, but more back in the bot. The Rain of Vengeance comes out, Cocoon onto 1. Burnsy's taking a lot of damage. Hungering Arrow doing work. Borrowed charge narrowly misses. Oh, that could have been what Limewire were hoping for. Rasad just missing the mark a little bit, but here comes Cryptic with that condemn. Here comes Hugh with Mosh Pit, double Mosh Pit. Uther doesn't have the stun, but Li Ming has the disintegration. In comes the falling sword, and that is all Joanna needs to send Bella to the bench. In comes the glare, and now forcing out the Iron Skin. The front line here is just so strong. Rasad, don't know why he got in there. My life Pariah or the Scourge. Whatever, but he's on the bench, and the Midnights are just able to grasp this one and take the advantage. The DK has rotated to the bot lane because they're going to let the minions do the work on the mid with the help of Cryptic. But here comes Shardstorm, Fox, and Burnsy. They want blood. Oh, the combo from Burnsy is dominating here. The Orb, the missile, into the disintegrating, and Nazeebo was put on a silver platter for the Midnights. Shardstorm DK has performed the resets are back in, and this is just farcical at this point. Midnights are dominating here. Whack attack gets dropped by Shardstorm as he comes out of the DK onto the Genji, but he's still got that Dragon Blade available. Tries not to go too deep, but these orbs from Ming. Stop it! He's already dead! The Midnights are just dominating Limewire, and at 12 minutes they're going straight for the core.
Yeah, they're just turning every single kill into an advantage. They're just pushing it all the way into the base, and there's absolutely nothing that Limewire can do at this point. They're trying to hold on, but do they have enough? It looks like with this game being still a very short game so far, the death timers are short enough that they are able to get back in time to defend and force away the members of the Midnight. So it's not over just yet, but it's getting really close with how much damage that core has taken.
This is absolutely nasty, GLP. That Burnsy on the Li Ming is just throwing it out and says, "Eat this, lads." And Limewire are just going nom 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 nom, and they're dropping like flies. So the Midnights, it's just they're just a loser at the moment. They're level 17 versus level 13. Not only are they so many levels up, they've got a whole talent tier to their advantage. And this is just nasty, nasty stuff coming out here. I do not want to be Limewire at the moment.
Yeah, it's an incredibly tough position for them to try and get back into. I mean, as you mentioned, level of disadvantage, talent disadvantage, structural disadvantage. There's not really much going in their favor right now. They have some tools to try and get back into it. We've seen some good mosh pits, but so far we just haven't seen any kind of follow-up. And now that we have this 4-stack trying to make a play on the top side, this is just leaving the rest of the map absolutely vulnerable. And they have to be very careful with how they play around the map, because that is a very vulnerable core that they're essentially leaving up, and they're just going to start pushing towards it.
Everything Gargantuan comes down to the top lane. Like you mentioned, they can just walk into this core in the bottom lane. They've taken down the keep already. They're going to get this hour, 41% plus shield, and the Hearthstone comes out from Limewire. This is where the scrap is going to begin. The big mosh pit comes out from Unfish. Two, but unfortunately there was some displacement going on, and this could be the fight that they need. Divine Shield's out, Rasad on the back line as the Anubarak, but no, ETC goes down. The heals are too good coming out here from Uther at Cross, getting it done. And the Limewire lads are just getting absolutely destroyed here in their home base, and the Midnights are going to push onto the core and take the match.
Yeah, I feel as though were this game much more even when it comes to levels and experience, some of those mosh pits could have really had much more of an impact. But as we saw, they were just put behind way too far, way too early, and they just didn't have the punch to get through any of that front line, and they just couldn't stand up to the amount of damage coming out of Burnsy on that Li Ming, and the Genji just slicing all the way through them over and over again. It was just way too much for Limewire to handle.
Poor old Limewire. 30-4 on the kills. They were so far behind. Midnight's nearly threw it there. They had a little bit of a miscalculation onto the core. They had to go back because Limewire were just, they came back strongly, but not strong enough. 30-4 of the kills, 15-minute games. Dahaka walks away with 12k experience. It's hard to pick an MVP for this one, but I really liked the way that Li Ming played. Burnsy, with those orbs, with those resets, was just finding so much value and was the true assassin of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always flashy when you get those reset heroes into the game, and you can really start to just show a lot of style in the way you get those kills. And that's essentially what we saw there. We saw those long-range bombs just nuking down members of Limewire, and it was very entertaining to watch. So yeah, I just on damage numbers alone, Burnsy really earned that MVP.
So congratulations to Bernie picking up the MVP. Congratulations to the Midnights picking up the round. We are halfway through the night, ladies and gentlemen, but don't go anywhere because we've got more hots coming your way. But for now, it's back to Host Crisis.
Thank you very much, Kit Fox and GL Phoenix. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are aware that we had a bit of robot voice going on during that little outing onto the Shire, but we'll try and sort it out during this break. Most of the teams have not actually completed their games, just showing how dominant the Midnights were on that map. So we will have a quick 5-minute break. We'll come back and do the draw of the Sukov raffle. So during that 5-minute break, you'll get this notification in a couple of minutes. Make sure you enter !GS HOTS for your chance to win that in the raffle. We're going to draw that twice, the first time in about 5 minutes, and then the next time right at the end of the day. So stick around. We'll be back with more Blizzard ANZ Season 4 Heroes of the Storm qualifiers in just a few minutes.